Good morning, everybody. And yes, happy 1st of February. Happy Black History Month and happy Lunar New Year, the year of the tiger. It's great to be here with everyone today. And we're going to be talking about fire safety and prevention today with the Fire Safety and Education Unit of the FDNY. But before we get started, I'm going to go over a couple of housekeeping notes. I want to make sure that you understand that this presentation is available with closed captioning, which can be activated at the bottom of your screen by clicking on the button that says live captioning. Additionally, we are providing simultaneous interpretation in Spanish this morning, for which I will now provide instructions for our Spanish attendees joining us today. Muy buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar aquí esta mañana. En esta mañana estamos brindando interpretación simultánea en español. Si desea escuchar esta presentación en español, nuestro intérprete, el señor Rey Miranda, estará interpretando el día de hoy. Y usted puede activar eso en hacer clic en el globito al fondo de su pantalla que dice interpretación. Y ahí usted podrá escuchar cómo usted quiere escuchar esta presentación. Si llega a tener alguna dificultad con la interpretación, por favor avísenos por medio de la charla. Usted puede hacer eso comunicando eso directamente o en el grupo, pero queremos saber si usted llega a tener algún problema para que podamos tratar de dirigirnos a eso y a corregirlo, claro. Pero gracias por estar aquí. Bienvenidos a Sinergia. All right. Lastly, I want to just mention that we are broadcasting this live on Facebook today, and we want to give a warm welcome to those joining us on Facebook this morning. We will receive a recording of this presentation, as well as any materials or resources that are shared. There will be a poll at the end of this presentation that will be activated so that you can give us feedback on what you learned and how we can improve. We want to encourage questions at any time. However, please remember this is a public forum and we are being broadcast on Facebook, so keep that in mind. My name is JC Cortez and I am the Director of Training and Development here at Synergia's Metropolitan Parent Center. A few words on Synergia. Synergia is a multi-service agency located in Manhattan that has been supporting New Yorkers with disabilities and their families for more than 40 years. We offer a rich source of information and training tailored for parents, including parents whose primary language is not English or who they themselves have special training needs. We help them participate more effectively in their children's education and development, and we partner with professionals and policymakers to improve outcomes for all children with disabilities. Synergia, which is Spanish for synergy, is one of New York City's 3 federally funded parent centers committed to serving people with disabilities and their families with an added focus on communities of color and the economically disadvantaged. Synergia creates innovative programs ranging from transitional housing for homeless families who have children with disabilities to an after-school art program that we do in partnership with the Guggenheim Museum, to festivities and activities that we do also with Lincoln Center, and parenting classes for adult parents with intellectual disabilities, and much more, including parent and education advocacy. So yes, as I mentioned, today we will cover the fire safety and prevention in New York City. Fire safety and prevention is weighing heavily on our hearts and minds here in New York City, especially as we mourn the recent tragic loss of life in the Bronx. Today we are joined by firefighters James Pagamo and Nick Bitrall, and we're happy to have you guys today, guys. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us to talk about such an important topic that never loses importance. And please, take it away.
Good morning. I'm Firefighter Nick from the Fire Safety Unit, and we have a bit of information to share with you guys. We're going to touch upon a little bit of everything. We have some material here and things to show you. We're going to get started right away. We usually tell kids and people with disabilities, right? Stuff that can make flames, fire, like matches, lighters, candles, is pretty much no good to play with. If you was ever to come across it, we usually tell someone of an adult that will handle it and take it from them. We're also going to talk a little bit about kitchen safety. We usually tell parents, if you have kids or children with needs and disabilities, to stay away from the kitchen. It's not a play area. Usually stay in your bedroom if you want to play, or a living room, a common area. kitchen's not a safe place to play, especially when you're cooking with greases and oils. And we usually tell when you're cooking on a stovetop, when you have pans, always tuck the handles inward. Never leave them hanging over the.
So instead of leaving it out like this.
Especially with when you're boiling waters and greases and stuff like that. This is pertaining to cooking with greases. Never put water on grease. Never ever, because it'll splash. It'll get on curtains and your cabinets, and it can extend. Fire can extend. So we tell you to always have a lid. And always use an oven mitt. And if you're wearing loose article of clothing, always roll up your sleeves if they're loose, or try to cook with like short sleeves on, because it could catch on fire. But you would always what you want to do is just simply cover and smother it. If you're cooking with greases and the flames get a little bit too high, you just want to cover it and smother it.
That's why you want to try to have pots and pans that match with the lids and the pan itself, right? You want to get good sets where the lids fit, because that's your first defense, right? If something gets a little out of hand, that's what we do when we go to like a food on the stove that's burning and everything. We always just try to smother it. So that's kind of important. If you have all mismatched stuff and you don't know where all your pots and pans are all over the place, kind of, because it happens over time. Sometimes it's easier just to sort them out or get a new set for that reason.
And this brings us to, we always tell everybody to always have a fire extinguisher readily available. They're fairly cheap. They're like $25. And if you're going to go out and buy one, you want to make sure you get one that has ABC written on it, and that will put out all your contents of fire, which is usually paper goods, liquids, and electric. So, and we tell people usually you don't want to keep this close to your stove, just in case if things get a little bit out of hand. You want to make sure you have it somewhat towards the exit area, so you always have your back towards the fire. We have an acronym that we use how to show people how to use a fire extinguisher. It's called PASS, P-A-S-S. So fire extinguishers will always have a pin. So what you want to do with the P in PASS is you want to pull the pin, right? A in PASS is you want to aim. P, pull the pin. A, aim. First S is squeeze. So you're going to squeeze the top, and then you're going to swipe side to side. That's the other S. So if you remember PASS, P-A-S-S, you'll remember how to use a fire extinguisher. Now, people that don't have a fire extinguisher, which they don't know, and this is good to know, if you have baking soda, not only does it make your fridge smell good, and you can use it in baking goods, but it also could put out a fire pertaining to greases and oils. And all you want to do is just pour it over it.
Try to smother it.
And smother it. And it's the same contents as actually in a fire extinguisher. So it's a little tip for you guys.
The extinguishers you could get at like Home Depot a lot of times, or a hardware store. You just want to make sure it's that ABC type that's on there, because you never, like you said, you never want to use water for grease or for electric, because it'll just make things a lot worse. So as much as you might want to spray something down in the kitchen, just avoid doing that.
Do you have a recommendation, guys, in terms of like how many fire extinguishers you should have in your home, or like if you live on level?
It really just depends. I think on everybody's situation is kind of different on your living situation. So you just want at least just one is good, as long as it's somewhere, in the kitchen area, just not like under the stove or in a cabinet next to the stove, because that's primarily where they start. So you don't want to have to go right next to the fire to grab it. So one should do it if you have one there. And some people like to keep one in their car too, like a small one. They have a car one, just in case. But yeah, one is fine, and just make sure it's easily accessible to you. You can mount it on the wall.
You always have your back. Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Talk about electric.
Yeah. So before I was a firefighter, I was an electrician for a long time, and we see a lot of electrical fires. So we want to talk a little bit about that, and like do's and don'ts with electrical appliances and everything. And we had an extension cord here. I don't know what happened to it, but you really want to avoid extension cords being used in the house if you can. I know it's inconvenient because we have a lot of things plugged in, and sometimes our outlets aren't exactly where you want them as far as plugging stuff in. But if you have to use one, the rule that we generally say is that you don't plug in anything with an extension cord that gets hot or cold, right? So any space heaters, any kind of appliances that are countertop appliances like toasters or ovens, or like blenders, even, because they're anything with a motor like that, or space heaters, obviously. You don't want to use extension cords for them. You want them to really be just into the wall. You don't want to use these power strips too much because you have the ability to overload them. And when you overload these, that's when you have your problems with the outlets, and the circuit itself can get hot. And so we try to avoid that. So anything that gets hot or cold, you don't want to use power strips or extension cords with. For other things, if you want to have like power strips by your TV, for your cable box and everything, we always say that an important thing to look for is there's a little sticker on the back, and it says this UL, meaning that it's not just a dollar store power strip. You want to have one that has this rating, because that means it's tested and approved by the regulations that make sure it's safer than other options that are out there. So sometimes it's worth a couple extra bucks to make sure you get halfway decent equipment that you're going to be using, because there are a lot of problems with the power strips and stuff. So that's really it. The last thing I want to talk about with electric that I saw a lot when I was an electrician, and I still see today, is that check your outlets that are around the house, because when you plug things in, if the outlet in the box that's in the wall is loose or old or breaking, and it happens all the time, people just keep jamming stuff in and out of them, and they really need to be replaced, because as that outlet starts to shake around in the box, it can really start to loosen up the wires and cause a short and cause a spark. So that's a big cause of fires that we see a lot that happen in the wall. Then it starts in the walls, and it's difficult to stop.
All right, we just had a question in the chat about candles, right? Candles aren't very safe at all, especially when you have children, kids with disabilities, pets. A lot of the times you go to a lot of fires where it starts from a candle, right? It's most common too with cats. Cats get curious, they jump on tables, they knock over the candle, and it causes a fire. So what we highly recommend now is going out and buying a battery operated candle like this one right here that I have in my hands. This was actually from the 99-cent store. And it's just one AA battery, I believe, or maybe two AA batteries.
There's all different kinds.
And yeah, it's all different kinds. And it's very safe. Like I said, all you got to worry about is changing the battery. And this one's actually really made out of wax, and the light flickers just like a candle would. And it smells delicious. It smells like vanilla. So definitely a lot safer. And we highly recommend using these instead of real candles now. And I know that was a question someone had in the chat. So I hope that helped you out a little bit. Thank you for advice on candle. Yep, battery. Like I said, 99-cent store.
Yeah, you knock it over, it's not a big deal.
Flickers, there's different settings. It's perfect. Yeah. So and we'll talk a little. What's that?
I said, as long as it smells good, right?
Yeah, it smells.
Smells
The
good.
room smells delicious
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
It smells good. It smells really good.
There is a quick question about a fire extinguisher. Is it safe to have a fire extinguisher spray?
What do you mean as in
I don't know
spray?
what you mean.
I'm not sure that was the question.
I saw that
If
question.
It's that you're gonna want to blanket whatever you're putting out, whatever's on fire. So yeah, you're gonna want to spray it around. You don't really want to aim it like into it too hard, so that you're splattering more.
Give yourself a
oil
little
around,
bit of
obviously.
distance.
Give yourself some distance, but you're gonna want to spray the powder. It comes out as a powder and makes like a really big blanket on whatever's on fire. So
We had some questions that we received, and one of the questions was, what happens if you don't have a fire escape? If how to evacuate a building without a fire escape? All right, so yeah, we'll get to that. So it's very important to know what type of building that you live in, right? There's two types of buildings. You have a fireproof and a non-fireproof building, all right? And a good way to realize what type of building you live in is technically if you live in a building that's up to 7 stories high and lower that has a fire escape is commonly a non-fireproof building, right? And if you live in a building that's higher than 7 stories that don't have any fire escapes is usually a fireproof building. And you should know if there's a fire in in a non-fireproof building and anywhere in that building, any apartment in that building, you should technically always want to get out. You want to get out of that building and you always make sure you want to close that door behind you, right? If you live in a fireproof building, if the fire is started in your apartment, you want to get out, make sure that door is closed. It's very important to get that door closed and get out. If you live anywhere else in that building, you want to stay put, all right? And sometimes smoke will come under the door cracks. Maybe sometimes you want to like grab a rag or a towel and put it under to block the smoke from coming into your place, all right?
That fire in the Bronx was a fireproof building. And it's the sad part is that if a lot of those people, they all passed away from smoke inhalation. If they had stayed in their apartments, we tell people shelter in place in that type of building. If they had stayed in their apartments, chances are they wouldn't have passed away. So it really is important to know what kind of building you live in and to practice what you're going to do if it happens with your kids and loved ones that are home. And you want to have them have an idea too that if the building's on fire, it's not in our apartment. Just shut the door. Put a towel under the door and wait it out. A fireproof building means you didn't really touch a fireproof building. What that means is that the fire can't spread from one unit to the next, right? It's all cinder block and fireproof materials that are making up the building itself, right? In a non-fireproof building, which will have fire escapes, that's not the case. If there's a fire on one side of the building, it can eventually, if it's unstopped, it can spread through the rest. So that's why you have fire escapes, because everyone does need to get out in that case. So it's an important point.
You want to get that question?
What if the fire is coming from the emergency stairwell?
Well, if you live on a 21st floor, you live in a fireproof building.
Yeah, that's
so if the fire is not in your apartment, I would 100% stay in place.
Yep.
Unless if we come and knock on your door, and tell you otherwise. So
you're gonna want to wait it out.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in that stairwell. You don't want to go in that hallway. That's where it's going to be, especially the stairwells. That's where it's going to be at its worst.
Yeah.
The smoke rises, and if you get caught in it, all it takes is 1 or 2 breaths of the carbon monoxide, and you'll pass out. And that's what happened to these people in the Bronx, unfortunately.
We do have a question here. Is it okay to leave the TV cable connected? Excuse me. Is it okay to leave the TV cable connected when we leave the house?
It's okay to leave the TV cable
connected. Yeah, you can leave things plugged in for the most part, as long as you try to turn things off, and it is safer to unplug them, but it's not realistic to ask you to unplug everything in your home every time you leave the house. It's not necessary. Most people leave things plugged in.
Did you talk about space heaters?
There's
another
question here asking if fire extinguishers expire.
They do. I believe they're good for 10 years.
10 years. Yep.
It usually has the date on them. Usually a date on them.
Yeah, you could just get them serviced if you have a bigger one, but it's going to cost you the same just to go out.
Yeah.
And if something like this size is perfect for a house, and they're about like $25 in like a Home Depot or a hardware store or something like that. Yeah,
and just replace it. But 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
Space heaters.
Yeah, we had I've seen a couple of questions about space heaters. See, that's going back to unplugging, right? If you have space heaters, right, you should know that you should always have a 3-foot distance all around the space heater. You shouldn't have it close to you shouldn't have it on your rug, anything that can go up, any fabrics. You shouldn't have it close to any furniture. That's important, right? And you should always unplug space heaters when you leave your house or
Same
an
with like
apartment.
kitchen appliances.
Always unplug it, because these things could be dangerous. Space heaters. That's what caused the fire in the Bronx recently.
Yeah,
That took 19 lives. So yeah, it's very important to know to always have a 3-foot clearance all the way around, and always unplug it when you leave.
We have a question from Facebook about space heaters, and
Yes.
you have some recommendations. What is the best space heater to use, and how should you use them?
Well, that goes back to what he was saying before, right? It should always have that marking on it, UL.
Yeah.
They always have it, right? And there's different types. There's oils. There's ones with the coil on the inside. I personally have one in my home, and I use the one that has oil because I feel it's much safer. I'm very, like my parents too, they use a space heater, and they have the ones that have the coil in it that give off the heat with the fan. I'm not a big fan of that because I feel like they're very dangerous. So I like the oil space heaters the best. So.
And another question here, not about space heaters exactly, but if I'm going on vacation for a week, should we unplug items, or is that not necessary?
Yes, 100%.
That makes sense. If you're not
Yes.
going to be home for an extended time, I would definitely.
Because you don't know if one of your cords could be
Sorry,
nicked or frayed, you know? It's better safe than sorry. And sometimes you can't see it. If your cord does get nicked, it could take a little while, you know? And that's all it takes is that second that you're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely, if you're going away for a long period of time, definitely, especially something that cools or heats, like a AC unit or
that could all be.
I unplug them 100%. Yep.
We have a question here from Facebook as well, and I'm not sure. I'd love to know if you have an answer for it. Why aren't fire drills or emergency practices mandatory for residential homes in New York City? It's a good question.
It is a good question, and unfortunately, we don't really have the answer to that. That's going to be.
We do with especially with the kids. We go to a lot of schools to teach fire safety with kids, and we kind of drill it with them. Like, go home and get your families involved and come up with your own fire drill. You know, it's very important, like I said, because half these kids don't even know if they have a fire escape or another way out. You should always, and with the parents, it's very important to go over it with your kids, because you never know with the emergencies. We go to fires all the time, different causes of fire, you know, like it's very important to know your way ins, your way outs, your escapes, all that. So
as far as why it's not mandatory for building owners and stuff, I don't really know. It would be a good thing to have, you know, to have them do. You can talk to maybe your landlord, management companies, or whoever else, and see if it's something you can implement.
They do have companies that go out, like retired firemen and stuff like that, to go out and get the building involved. But that all comes down to management. Yeah, you got to get them involved. The boards, if you have boards in your buildings and stuff like that. So
there's a question here. I use an electric blanket in the wintertime. I use a timer to turn it off in an hour or two. Is using an electric blanket safer than a space heater, or just as dangerous?
It could be just as dangerous, to be honest. We go to fires that are involved with blankets too. They keep them on. It all, like I said, you don't know, because you have to charge it up and everything else. You don't know, like I said, if that cord is nicked or frayed, and that's all it can take. It could take just one tiny little spark, you know. So hope that answers the question.
With all of these things, your best defense, you know, this, right? The alarms.
Oh yeah, you want to go over it?
Obviously, all of this is prevention, right? You want to try to prevent it as much as you can. But the most important thing, as far as fire safety goes in the house, is absolutely your smoke detector, right? You want that to be up to date and working, and have at least one or two that are in the in your bedrooms or your hallways. You want to keep it away from the kitchen so it's not going off when you're cooking and stuff.
Or right outside the kitchen
Right
area.
outside the kitchen
Perfect.
area is good.
Hallway, common area in your
Yeah.
hallway that leads up to the bedrooms. They're very important.
That's going to save you with the question with the blanket or the space heater or anything. You having that alert right away is the most important thing, and having that time, it gives you time to respond to whatever's happening in the house. So we can't stress that enough.
And it's very important because if you don't have a working smoke detector, what is that going to do for you? So it's important to always check it. We tell people to check it once a month, and all you got to do is press the button in the middle of your smoke detectors, and it'll go off and it'll check it.
These new ones are good for 10 years with you don't even have to change the battery. It has like the lithium ion battery in there, so it stays good, and you don't even have to change it. So
If you have the older models, there's usually there's batteries. It could be AA or
9 volts.
9 volts sometimes, yeah, depending on which ones you got. But always change the batteries every 6 months. So twice a year. We tell people, like, when you change back the clocks, always change the batteries out in your smoke detectors. It's a great way to remember to change them out. And with the newer models, with the 10 years, it has an internal battery on the inside of it. We tell people just to write the date on it, and after 10 years, you're just going to change it out and buy a new one. We had a question sent to us. How do we get them, right? Red Cross, you call Red Cross up and they will come install them free of charge and give you as many as they think you're going to need for where you live.
It's a program that
we
here.
Yeah.
The number is 877 Red Cross. It's real easy. Just ask about the fire alarm installation program. Goes for building owners too, because they can set up to have them installed in the apartments for their whole building. It's really a good program to try to get as many as we can out there.
Yep. I think it's just the 1S though, right?
It's 1S.
Yeah, it's 1S.
The number is what it's Red Cross.
It's 1877 Red Cross, but 1S. How do you safely dispose a fire extinguisher once it expires? That's very, very good question, actually. So what we tell people, right? You don't want to throw these in a trash compactor because it could explode. So what you're going to do is when it's time to get rid of them, you're going to turn it upside down, right? You want to make sure that you get all the compressed air out.
Yeah. You just release it.
So you're just going to release everything upside down, though. So you're not discharging the chemicals in there. You're just getting rid of all the air. And then you're going to put it in recycling, or if you live in a building, maybe extra super, or you don't want to throw it down a compactor because then when it crushes it, and then if you don't release all that pressure inside of it, it could explode. So, yeah.
Really good to know.
That's a very good question. Actually, I haven't had that question in a while. So, yeah, very good. Thanks, Melanie.
I have a 6 extension power strip surge. Is using it safe?
For smaller appliances? Yeah.
If your electronics like your TV or computers or cable boxes and stuff, yeah, it's safe. As long as it's, like we said, one that's UL listed and has the sticker on it and is tested.
Rule of thumb: anything that cools or heats, you want to plug directly into a wall outlet. You do not want, you don't want to use the power strips, and because it's just not safe.
Air conditioners, heaters, even obviously a refrigerator.
That's
all big draws, right? It pulls a lot of electrics.
Yeah, anything that cools or heats. Perfect way to remember that. Right into a wall outlet.
Plastic containers.
On plastic, how to put out a fire on plastic.
Same
containers.
thing. Fire extinguishers.
Fire extinguishers, yeah.
Really it can do everything. So
you could put water too. I mean, depending on how big, big the plastic is, but yeah, it always goes back to a fire extinguisher. The only thing you don't put the water on is, like he said, grease, oils, and electric. No problem, anytime.
And question here: how to put out a fire on a plastic container?
Yeah, I just answered that.
Sorry.
Goes back to a fire extinguisher. You could put water on that. That's fine. Like I said, the only thing you don't want to put water on is greases, oils, and electric. you're definitely going to use your fire extinguisher for those.
We have a question here on Facebook.
Yeah.
More of a comment, really. You have
Yeah.
to, yes, it's important to have plan for an emergency and to have a to-go bag with documents and the essentials in it.
Mhm.
Can you explain how to create an evacuation plan or an emergency plan? Like, what's a good method?
Well, it's good, like you get your whole family together, right? Have like a family meeting of sorts, and maybe have the kids and stuff draw out like a map of you always check your window if you have a fire escape. Make sure you have working windows. If you live in a private house, make sure that if you have two ways out, back door, front door, make sure it works. It's working order. It's not locked, because we go to a lot of places that actually they'll put like a padlock on the back door. That's not safe at all. Because now if something goes down, you're not going to be able to get out that way. Yeah, always it comes down to getting your family all involved and sitting down with them. Yeah,
everybody on the same page.
have everyone, know where to go, what to do.
Everyone's house is different, the layout's different.
If you have children, it's very important to have a meeting place with them, and we tell them maybe like a tree in the front or next door. Never tell them something that's not substantial, like a car, because a car could move. It won't be there the next day or whatever. But always have like a meeting place, because we tell the kids too, mommy and daddy could go outside and the kid can go down a block and they think the kid's still inside, and they'll run back into the fire and they can get hurt or
Right. The meeting place is important.
Yeah, the meeting
place. As
place.
far as like a go bag is to have your document. We try not to tell people to focus too much on that, because in reality, everything can be replaced. And the only thing you want to worry about is getting out yourself and your family. So you don't want to have to take the extra 10 seconds to go grab. That could be it. That could be 10 seconds that you needed. So go grab something and go, even though it could be your essentials.
And it's important to tell the kids, like, leave all your stuff behind too, don't hide, don't go back for your stuff, because you can always get that stuff back. You could always buy them their toys back and their video games and stuff like that. So it's very important to let them know too, like, hey, listen, if something goes down and there's a fire in the middle of the night, just drop everything and get out,
Right.
And go to that meeting place. And so we just had a question, Roland. The ladder's great. Yeah, because some of the new buildings now, like if you live in like a 3-story, they won't have a fire escape because they got grandfathered in. And it's the ladder's perfect.
Depending how old they are,
how old they
the
are,
laws were made about fire escapes and stuff. The ladder's great. And 3-story buildings, that's what we use. We use ladders to put up to your windows and stuff all the time. It's our bread and butter. So, and
if you're uncertain about like things in your building and houses, you can always go to your local firehouse and ask them, and they'll come out and they'll check it out for you if you have any concerns, So it's good, and we enjoy when you guys knock on it and have these questions too, because it gets us out and it gets us to see what's in the area. So
what can you use for
what can you use for electrical sparks? I'm not sure.
You want to make sure it's unplugged.
Right.
If you have something plugged into an outlet and it's sparking, you want to make sure you get that unplugged right away. And I wouldn't use it. But if I've had cases where the outlet will catch on fire.
Yeah, you want to just use your extinguisher, like I said, for anything electric. But also, if you notice that an outlet is sparking in any way, you want it replaced. You got to have an electrician replace it right away. That's really the most important thing with that. You could also try to shut down that circuit if you can find the breaker in the panel. That's always an option, just to kill power to it until it is fixed. That's really all you can do.
Do you guys want to know anything about smoking cigarettes wise? Any tips on that? We tell people not to smoke. If you smoke, don't smoke indoors, because a lot of times people get too comfortable when they're smoking on the couch. They end up nodding out, and the cigarette will fall on the couch, and the couch will go up because of the materials that they're making too. It's easy to go up. We tell people to go outside, get fresh air. You won't have that urge to nod off. And if you are, never dispose your cigarette butts into a garbage directly. Maybe get like a little tin can, like a soup ladle can, fill it up with a little bit of water, and
Right.
throw those butts in the water. Make sure they're completely out.
Here's a question here on Facebook. If you live on the second floor without a fire escape, what should you buy as an alternative? As in, what type of ladder or what kind of ladder can you buy?
Live on what floor?
The second.
Second floor.
Oh, second floor.
Um,
They have like Roland has. It's like a ladder that's on like ropes, and you throw it right out
the window.
right out the
Yeah.
window. It hooks up to your
The sill. of
the
window.
sill, and you can climb right down. So you can. I know a lot of buildings, a lot of 2-family houses. They have it on the second floor. They went out and bought it.
Mhm.
It's good to have, and that's another thing. If you do go out and buy it and you have family, make sure they know where that is, and just in
How to
case,
use it.
yeah, and how to use it. It's very important. It all comes down to like fire safety. That's what we're here for. So.
Any other questions from anybody?
We pretty much went through
I think we covered mostly
everything.
what we cover.
In my building, I only have one window with the fire escape.
We have a question here. In my building, I only have one window with the fire escape. The rest of the windows have guards screwed into the wall. There is no way to open the windows. Is that normal?
Is the window with the fire escape, is that accessible? Is it open, or does that have screws in it too? Because I've seen places with
Okay,
they had
that's
screws
open.
in.
Yeah, you want that.
Yeah,
one
that's
open
good.
Especially
That's probably a
child gate.
yeah, for the safety of children. They don't open them all the way.
Yeah.
It's normal.
We come across it all the
We
time.
come across
and
it,
if-
yeah.
if, firefighters have to get in, we take those out quickly to open the window up.
Yeah,
That's what we practice that, so.
no problem. That's what we're here for. Any other questions you guys have?
I see something. There were some questions that were submitted.
Yeah, I got through. I got through.
Where,
I think most of them actually.
let's see.
Oh, is it safe to open windows if there's a fire in my apartment? No, you want to.
It all depends.
Yeah, I would just get out and close that door and call 911 right
Yeah, If
away.
you're staying in your apartment and it starts to get a little hazy and you're getting a little bit of smoke in there and you kind of want to hang your head out the window while everything's being put out by us, then that's okay. That's if you're sheltering in place, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
If you're in a fireproof building and you're just staying put in your apartment, that's all right.
And then, what is the best way to protect ourselves from inhaling smoke in case of a fire?
Low.
Yeah, get low. Smoke rises. You want to be below that. So
Yeah, the lower the better.
and if you live in a fireproof building, going back to that, and you're sheltering in place, and smoke's getting in, you want to put maybe like a towel and underneath your door to stop the smoke from coming. And it's all right to open a window in that situation if you're
Right.
sheltering in place. If the fire's not on that below you, it's fine to do that. Oh.
All right.
All right. We lost
There's a house that is private on the first floor and you only have one exit and the windows only have crank handles.
Well, you're gonna try to break it and get out if you had to go out a window anyway, right? Those are still glass. Yeah, if you only have one exit, usually on the first floor, you'll have a second entrance, but if you don't, then your window is gonna be your next option, so.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or advice for, I know some people attending today are working at safe houses and shelters. Do you have any tips for those professionals working there and how they can improve fire safety and prevention in their workplace and for those people they're serving?
Yeah, like I said, it's always important to go over a plan. Always have a plan of motion just in case of emergency happens, right?
With the residents that are able to, you want to try to teach them.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else. if they're able to comprehend a lot of the concepts that we can go over, the simpler ones even, about getting out and having a plan of where to go and where to meet. That's a big part of it. It's just accountability for the workers there to know where the residents are if something like this happens, and to account for everybody that's there. So if they can, if you can teach that concept to them, then that's a huge part of it, just to know where to go if it happens, know what to do and where to go if they get out, and to get out, period.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any other questions? I don't see any in Facebook, and I don't see any here. Thank you so much. Chris.
No, our pleasure.
No problem. Our pleasure.
pleasure.
This is why we do this.
Yes. thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate all the good questions too, you know?
And a lot of this information is available on your website, correct?
Yep,
Sure
that's
is, yeah.
correct.
So it's fdnysmart.org is their website, and I'll be sure to share that with you in my follow-up email for those who have attended. As I said, you will receive a link to the recording of this presentation today. It is available on our Facebook page for those who have missed it or have had to leave early, and if you wish to share it with other people. We're so happy to have you guys here today. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and
Thank you.
poll. A question here. Is the New York City Fire Museum open? Do you know?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe it is.
It's
It's open,
open.
and the fire zone is open too. It's
Yeah.
a nice place to go.
fire zone's good if you have
Fire zone's good for
kids.
kids.
Yeah, it has a lot of
activities for
information,
them. Yeah.
hands-on too, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, and there are some coloring books and things that for kids to learn about fire safety on their website. I'll be sure to include that as well as some links from OPWDD in terms of fire safety and working with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But yes, so thank you so much for being here, guys. And
thank you.
All right, thank you.
we hope to see you at our picnic in March. In Harlem. And but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and activate this poll. Guys, thank you for being here. If you want
Thank
to
you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thank you,
Be
everybody.
safe, guys.
stay
Thank
safe.
you. You too. Thank you.